Council. No, this is suspension, not adjournment. So suspension, you can go on as you started, even if you have only a few. But if I didn't adjourn the meeting. Right. Okay, but if you're ready, you can bring the witness back, and then we continue. No, not you.
Nobody's here. Nobody's here.
Sorry, Elsa. I didn't mean to send you. Please proceed, Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome back, Mr. Njai. We apologize for that technical difficulty we just had. And are you ready to proceed?
I am.
Before we went on the break, you were just explaining some of the issues that you had with the President's bodyguard. Can you just start again and tell us what issues you raised with them?
Well,
Please go ahead. I believe the microphones are still working.
during that visit to the RVTH, where the President wanted to check on the students who were admitted, I observed that some soldiers in military fatigue, that's the camouflage, were coming into the hospital with their AK-47s. That I raised the point of objection that this is not right. Within the premises of the hospital, I don't expect soldiers in military fatigue with AK-47s hanging, moving inside the wards. It would have been better if only bodyguards were in mufti, either suits or ambassador suits and so on, with their pistols concealed to go around. Not, in that case, even not most of them, because I don't expect any threat within the wards. Those who are there are sick, and most of them traumatized, almost all of them, because of the weapon that was used against them. Seeing against soldiers in military fatigue, hanging on those weapons inside the ward, was not called for.
And how did they react to these objections that you raised?
Well, I think if I can remember, finally, they stopped outside of the ward, whilst the President with few bodyguards went in and went around to interact with the sick.
And why do you think the soldiers were dressed in this manner in the hospital?
You know, after the 1994 coup d'etat, we were not prepared for a military government. And soldiers who had never served in the State House before, or who never had some VIP protection training or other trainings of that sort, found themselves in the State House. Sometimes do it because maybe they want to be seen on TV, you know, like playing films and so on and so forth, which security was more than that. But definitely there was no professionalism in the things, in the way things were going on at the State House in the first years of the coup d'etat.
Did you also feel that it was a show of power and might?
Of course. Then Mr. President Jammeh wanted, wherever he is, be seen surrounded by soldiers armed to the teeth, showing power and might. That was part of it.
And after the incident of the 10th of April 2000, You still remained as chief of protocol at State House, is that correct?
I did.
And at any time, did you hear the president mention this incident to anybody?
Yes, it took some time until one night when I was with him at the State House around 9 going towards 10.
Do you remember the date?
No, I couldn't. I can't remember the date.
Can you tell us if it was...
Baba Job busted late now and found us sitting at the sitting room upstairs.
Just indicate whether it was a few weeks or a few months after the April 10th and 11 incidents.
I would call it a few months.
Very well, please proceed.
Then he came in and went straight to the president. The college students are about to go form another sitting demonstration, this time to block the highway. And the situation is getting serious. It was then that President Jammeh said, dañ bugga ma def more than li ma defoon 10th and 11 April. Which means they want me to do worse than I did in 10th and 11 April.
And what did you understand this to mean?
That then he was responsible for the killings of 10th and 11 April. It was there that Baba Job, yes, objected to it. And told him, no, sir. And he told him, then go and talk to them then. He wanted him firmly to go and talk to them, or else he will do worse than what happened in 10th and 11th April.
And do you know which particular students he was referring to?
I think this time it was the college students, GAMSU students then.
And do you know if Baba Job actually went back and spoke to them as instructed?
Baba Job went back. When he came back to the president, I would not know, but I know that after that issue, the word GAMSU changed to NAPSA, which means something National Patriotic Students Association or so. And that patriotism, that word patriotism, which Yahya Jammeh used to boast of as patriot, any good patriot is somebody who is behind him and say, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, and do what he wants, and never object to anything he did. That's when the Students' Union, I think, came a new rebirth and become more political than unionism.
And can you tell us what, if any, influence
anything that Yahya Jammeh wants, politicizing everything, doing on his yes and don't, and leaving his don'ts.
Is there anything else you would like to tell us? Anything more that you know about this particular incident?
I think for this incident, this is what the only thing I know about it, that the conclusion I came out with, that he was behind this thing because of the words he uttered, and Baba Job came to inform him that the students are about to perform another demonstration.
You came to the conclusion that the ex-president Yahya Jammeh was responsible for the shootings that happened to the students on the 10th and 11th of April 2000.
Yes, I did.
Very well. Thank you very much, Mr. Witness. We've come to the end of the witness's testimony. It was very short, Mr. Chairman, so I will hand it over to the commissioners for any questions they may ask. The last time he testified, he did not have the opportunity to give any final remarks because he had limited time. So perhaps, Mr. Chairman, you would allow him to make his final statement today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Council, and thank you very much, Mr. Njai, for that. Council, do I take it then? Do I take it then that this is his last appearance before the Commission?
I would not know if he has further information to give us, but at this stage, this is This is all we need from
No,
him.
I mean, as far as your own planning goes, this is it.
As far as the April 10th and 11 goes.
Splendid. Thank you
Yes,
very much.
but I don't know if he's involved in any other themes.
No, it's the closing remarks that I'm really driving at. If we can make it now.
Yes,
And,
I believe so.
Okay, fine. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Commissioners, if you have any questions, please so indicate. Yeah, Commissioner Jallo, Imam Jallo, you have the floor, please.
You highlighted that the GAMSU and NAPSU became more of a union than the actual unions that are in existence. Now, what advice do you have for young Gambians who are often manipulated by our politicians to get into areas that they have no idea and should not participate in?
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. The generation in which the children, let us be more focused in our educational background. Tomorrow, I may die or suffer or lose my education or fail my exams. And the politician who succeeded would send his children concentrate on their books, on their teachers, learn what they should learn, and when they grow up, then and have enough responsibility and have enough education, they could do everything they would want to. But if we follow these politicians, I'm sorry to say the word selfish, self-interest, they will end up losing at the end of the day. So let parents, we advise our children, and let children listen to parents, indulge into studying, reading their books, doing something good, than going in the streets and fighting and damaging and vandalizing things. It's not good for us. The generation, the youths of today, is the future of the country. If we have bad youths today, tomorrow we are going to have very bad administration, very bad authorities. So let's try to be good now so that tomorrow we'll handle our country the right way.
Thank you very much. If there are no further questions, Mr. Njai, if you have your closing remarks to make, please proceed to do so now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have been hearing before coming about this as a former security agent. It's a security reform. Yes, there's the Security Reform Commission. But we as officers should reform ourselves first. As I was saying, children should desist from following politicians. We officers should cease to be somebody's officers. It is of national interest. It's the Gambia's national security. Whether army or police or para or immigration, we are national. Let not us be used by the politicians for their own gains. Yes, for 22 years, if we may remember, we officers were living in a state of emergency. I would call it state of emergency because we all owed allegiance to one individual, that is President Yahya Jammeh. There was this, an example is, there was this officers' mess. You never see two or three officers sitting, interacting, chatting within the officers' mess because nobody trusts each other. Everybody would try to see that one or two were there and this is what they scored. Tomorrow you are dismissed or arrested or molested for preparing a coup d'etat and so on and so forth. We are living a hostage life then, all officers. Nobody will stay outside the states until after 9-10. We didn't believe in ourselves. We are not serving the national interest. And that's where we should. So before this commission, reform commission, let us reform ourselves as officers and make sure we act as national officers, not individual officers. We not owe allegiance to, yes, to the head of state. It's there. But we are serving the Gambian National Armed Forces or Security Forces. Something else that I want to discuss, I served almost all my services at the State House. Yes, the president is the president. We may not say no, sir, to the president, but talking to those who are around him, I've been around the president, Sir Dawda Jawara and President Jammeh. Sometimes you say, yes, sir, but don't you think this and that? But though we who used to be around the presidency, usually we are used to something, sir, this one is not good. Sir, that one is not good. Sir, fire this one. Sir, do this to that one. That would not help a president, that would not help a country. Everybody there is a responsible somebody in this country. For no reason, somebody tells lies somewhere and you are fired. It's very wrong. It has been happening. Let us help the president. Let us, if we are given position of trust, do it, do your job, so that when you go home, you sleep comfortably. Don't be destroying people. Don't be misleading the president. Don't do that. I was here in February. After testifying, I saw some people who went into the media and said, yes, Demanjai said Yajame was bad. Then why should he recommend his best friend, Korosise, to work with him? But Korosise was not my best friend. He was somebody I knew, I respected for his values. And I was not working for Yajame, I was working for the Gambia government. And if I see somebody who could assist in the development of this country, I would have done so. I didn't only do it to Korosise, I recommended others. One may have remembered the name Baba Ningsi Soho. I recommended him to the president. Then Gambia was left behind, was ignored by everybody. Sanctions. He came and he said he wanted to invest in the Gambia. We had no friends then. And in him investing in the Gambia would have helped a lot. I recommended that he met the president, because the president asked me to interview him. I did that. And I didn't stop there. I also participated in making him opening businesses like Air Dabia, where many Gambians worked. I participated in convincing him to buy Amis Beach Hotel from AMRC, renovated it, and opened it for business, where thousands of Gambians survived. I personally remember meeting him in Miami with one state minister, a very influential state minister then. He used to call Action Man. When we met the president, when we met Bawan in Miami, he came back with a Lexus, brand new Lexus for himself. When Babanding asked me what I should do, I tell him, Mr. Sissoko, in the Gambia right now at the State House, the president has inherited an old convoy of motor bicycles. Whenever he is going out, one or two will have a breakdown on the highway. And this is an embarrassment. If you want to help it, I want you to buy us a fleet of motor bicycles so that this thing would not happen again. I would have asked if a Lexus I could get it, but I didn't. I say I want the convoy to be changed. When he gave me the green light, I flew back to the Gambia, informed the president that I had done some negotiations for the motorbikes to be changed, and asked whether I could continue. He told me yes. It was then I left back with the late Keba Sanyang now, who was the chief mechanic, to Miami, and then to Paris, identified the motorcycles, bought them, left him there to package it, and I came back home and then sent to the Gambia. If anybody stands here today and say Gambia government bought motorcycles in 1996 for the presidential convoy, which cost millions, it's not true. I negotiated for it. But it was my country. This I'm talking because of those who are close to the president. If you are close to the president and you can do for your nation, do it. Don't ask what your nation can do for you. The last but not the least that I did as when I was close somebody to the president is, people may not know, but today, the State House Mosque was built by my blocks, with my blocks. When he came in, and God's World Bank was not yet operating for him, that he used to say God's World Bank. He wanted to build the mosque. There was no money available at that time. I had blocks that I bought, and they were lying opposite Amsterdam there, near the dumping site. The man who sold me the blocks is still alive. He is called Minte Ba. He was then the driver of the truck of the State House. He sold me those blocks. And I was to finish my house in Kotu here, but when this arose, I take the blocks. Whenever you have money, you refund me, and I continue my building. It wasted my time, it wasted my building, but it was a house of God. And I said, let me put it there because it was a better use. So when we are close to the president or to the State House, or we are given personal trust, let's try to do what we should do for the interest of the nation. Let us help each other. Going to the president or going to somewhere and saying this is not good, let us desist. And as somebody close to the presidency, sometimes please act as a fire extinguisher. Situations arose when he would take serious decisions, which we would consider as not good, and I would stop it. One of it was from 1996 elections, after the declaration of the last result, that is Combo North, and the euphoria and everything. Surrounded by by supporters and campaign team and everything. After everything, he went to at the last stairs where he was going upstairs. He uttered something. Guy opposition ding hamne man malen gena gara hama hal rama pare si ñom. Nobody would. I said no sir. I said no sir. From today you are the president of all Gambians, irrespective of political affiliations. Don't do that. I did it. I can remember. Like Conte, he was at this place, KMC chairman. When he was fired, when we woke up one day and that he was fired, I, with the then State Guard commander, Lantombong Tamba, we talked, we couldn't convince him. I said, I'll take the risk. I called Yankuba Toure. I called Susan Wafa Ogo. Let them go behind the building when it's about 4 o'clock. And I opened the door for them and let them meet him and convince him that this shouldn't be done because it's not good for Serekunda, it's not good for the interests of the nation. I knew I was going home that day. But I did it. When they came in, I opened the door for them. They went in, they met him. As soon as he went out to go out of his office, he met them, and he had no other choice but to usher them into the sitting room. They went in, they talked, I packed all my things and go home, and I was going home. And I was going to go home, but it could have been very serious. I made sure that they changed his mind, and like Conte got back his job. Lantombong and Yankuba today. But at that same night, around 2 a.m., Yajame called me in my house food. I said, yes, sir. He told me, I've been giving you money to pay for my guests in hotels, Atlantic Hotel and the Kairawa Beach Hotel. I say, yes, sir. I need my receipts first thing tomorrow morning. I said, yes, sir. But early in the morning, I prepared everything, which I was packaging and keeping. I gave them to him. And what he said, he just and said, use the F letter word and say, give them to Ablai Kujabi. And I knew that then, if I hadn't produced those papers, I would have been dismissed, arrested, handed over to the police, taken to court for economic crimes. But God so good that helped me. So those around, let us try to do things. When you work, make sure when you are at office, do what you think so that when you go back home, you sleep comfortably. Do things rightly where you can desist respectfully. And the last thing is, I'm appealing to this commission for justice. We would all agree that from 1996 to 2016, there had been elections in this country every 5 years. And there had not been a lot of talk after every election. We knew that in 2006, there was a coup d'etat. People came here, sat on this chair, wearing the Gambian National Army uniform, that they participated in that coup d'etat. And some of them showed no remorse, and even arguing with the chairman, the commissioner, that they never regretted what they're doing and would have or could have done it again if such situations arise. When you were quoting the Geneva Convention or conventions, when we knew that in the Constitution, coup d'etats are not accepted. But still they have that belief. We all knew that in 2014 there was a coup d'etat. Some died, some ran away, some were arrested. If we want justice, let justice be done. Because what I observe in this is worse than George Orwell's Animal Farm. All animals are equal, but some are more equal. Because before the creation of this commission or so, those people who committed these offenses, which is one of the gravest offenses against the Constitution, that is coup d'etat, are recalled and considered as heroes. Are we encouraging coup d'etats? Some of them stood and said they will do it again, yet they are in the system. Some who did nothing absolutely and found themselves out of the system are not considered. And in 2014, the one I can remember is when these people, this coup d'etat was committed, most people, far and beyond, wrote congratulatory messages to the president, condemning these boys or these perpetrators, calling them traitors, calling them all names. And it's on paper, it's on record, announced over radio stations and the television. The same guys today who are manning very serious, very key positions in the security service, who were the ambassadors then, who wrote those letters that I can still remember, call these people heroes. As security advisors, they advised the president to bring them back. As CDS, they brought them back into the system. Convicts of the coup d'etats, whom you, because Yahya made there to please him, you said no to it and called them all names. Today you call them heroes and bring them to the system. And those who did nothing are left behind today, with families and so on and so forth, moving the states, turned into civilized beggars, because they will not hold something to beg, but boy, can you help me with a bag of rice? Boy, can you help me with 14 years I am sitting without salary for doing nothing. My file is as clean as snow. I've never offended anything. I've never got a charge sheet in the system. Likewise, many others. But today, they don't mind who we are. Those who did the coup d'etat and do other bad things, and who killed and who tortured are in the system, enjoying, while those that did nothing in their life are here suffering. I apologize for any hard talk, or I may say I'm sorry for everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Njai, for those closing remarks. Council, are we ready with the next witness? Can you give me some guidance on what we do? Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I thought we were. Fortunately or unfortunately, the next witness opted to change his statement. So I am waiting to see what the outcome would be, what the new statement would look like. But I'm ready to put the witness on the stand, maybe 2-3 minutes after I receive the statement. So perhaps maybe we could stand down for 10 minutes. Let me coordinate that activity, and then we will resume.
Fine, thank you. We will
yes,
take
I should be able to skim through the statement very quickly.
Fine, we'll take a 10-minute suspension and resume in 10 minutes. Thank you very much.
Much obliged, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Discharge the witness, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Njai, for coming to testify before the Commission. And thanks again, Nama, for your closing remarks. Thank you.